Okay, we are live. Excellent. Let me quickly copy the link before we begin today's session and put it on the various channels that we have so people can join in. Okay, we are live. Excellent. Let me. Yes, we have the link now. Manu, I'm giving the link to you as well, so that you can also share it with others. There you go. And I'm going to be putting it in our WhatsApp group, which you can also join. The details of the WhatsApp group will be added to the description of this YouTube video in a couple of days. You can join from there, or you can follow us on social media, or you can view some of the previous videos to see where the WhatsApp link is. Okay, I'm also going to post it on the social media posts that we created. Right, and okay, Manu,
Yes, sir.
are you
Good
ready?
morning.
Okay, good morning. Welcome everyone who's watching this right now. Welcome to Open Source Mentorship. This is our 11th session, and today we are extremely privileged to have Simranpreet Singh Oberoi, my friend and an amazing change maker. And because he's my friend, I'm going to call him Manu. So, thank you for joining us, Manu.
No, pleasure, Saurabh, and great to be talking to you in this format.
Excellent. Well, let me just tell you a little bit about what Manu does. Manu has been trying to transform education for more than a decade now. He started off, guiding students in various schools in Bombay. He's also managed a school in Patna for the underprivileged, and he's been traveling and working with so many other people, and then finally it has all led to this culmination of this amazing grassroots movement called Sanjhi Sikhiya, which means shared knowledge, shared learning in Punjabi. And currently they are serving some 5 districts in Punjab. Four districts in Punjab, where they are trying to transform rural education by working with all the stakeholders involved, from the students, parents, teachers, the district administrators, the education representatives, and so on. Manu, does that summarize some of the work that you do?
I'm amazed at the background research you did, Saurabh.
This is from our conversation that we had once when I think it was on your birthday, you had invited some people for reflections.
Right.
So this is just that amazing conversation that I had in my mind.
Memory you have.
Yeah. Sanjhi Sikhiya has been recognized and awarded at various levels, the most prestigious of them being the World Economic Forum, for which Manu had represented Sanjhi Sikhiya in Switzerland for an event. And they have been, advised by amazing corporate leaders like Shibuji from Infosys as well. And I had the, fortune of attending one of the get-togethers of Sanjhi Sikhiya in Punjabi University, Patiala, where I got to see the team, and just the entire energy about it was amazing.
Great. Yeah, Saurabh, thank you for being there and been there since inception. Actually, I think you have known us whenever we reached out in terms of getting new applicants, getting new young people to apply. I think you have been there for us. So thank you for all the support.
I hope I did a little bit because you definitely I wanted to do more, but hopefully we'll be able to do some of it. And that is what brings us to today's conversation. So Manu, as I explained to you, what we're going to do is we're going to go deep into some of the work that you do. and some of the challenges that you are trying to overcome, some of the challenges that you face currently, and understand it better from a perspective from where we can include, technological interventions to ease those challenges a little bit, right? And I'm going to share my screen now, share my screen of the iPad, where I'm going to simultaneously write notes as well, so that the young people who are watching this, they might get the exact picture of how things are happening. But Manu, please, let's just start. I mean, as to how did Sanjhi Sikhiya begin, and why did you start it?
Sure. So, see, it came out of came out of this pain, you can say, Saurabh, that because I did not grew up in Punjab. I was born in Agra. I was raised in Delhi. Like my schooling was partly Delhi, partly Agra, and then been all across the country. Uh, and like I just had a few relatives here and there in Punjab. So whenever I would visit, so I had a very different image myself. But I think it started changing in 2016, 2017 when I became slightly more aware of what's going on. And then I went on a travel, I guess uh, like every weekend I would go to Punjab and try to meet somebody who's already doing something to improve the state of affairs, to learn from them as to why where we are, how did we come here, what can be done, and what can someone like me do about it, how can I contribute. So as in, it started from this thing about because you mentioned Patna, because when I was there, it what my experience in Patna did was it just really strengthened my conviction as to what can equal opportunity do for somebody. Because I was seeing kids coming from families where they did not have even uh, you know uh, meals to eat, like, 2 times a day, and they knew that education is the only way out, and they were so invested, they were so committed. And now, like, after, like, I was there almost some 10 years ago. uh Now when I meet some of those kids who I had taught, I had spent time with, and those who are doing, like, really well, uh going on full scholarship to Ashoka University, going to US to do their studies, or even the NITs of our country. So I think that is what got strengthened there. And then when the question I was asking myself, okay, education is what I want to do, and that I want to go deep in this, doing this work. Where do I want to spend the rest of my life? Like, where do I want to, what is that place? And somehow when these travels in Punjab were happening, I was increasingly becoming more and more, you can say, sure that I need to do that. I need to do this work here, primarily because I did not find too many people or too many organizations doing it already. uh, there was, especially even till today, many people still think of Punjab as a very prosperous and glorious, and everything is highest per capita, etc., etc. So the image is still there, and that's why a lot of uh, non-profits or civil society organizations you don't see. So so that was secondary, and finally I would say I just I think it was, some of it was serendipitous, some of it was intentional. I met some very amazing people, including Ankit, who you know very well, Ishpreet, and few others. So it became a very strong team, right? And in fact, except me, everybody else was from Punjab. At least had grew up in Punjab. So, and everybody was talking the same thing, that we need to go back and do this work. So I think finally we formed a very good team, with very complementary skill sets and interests. So yeah, so and then and we were also very clear that whatever we take up now, and each one of us had our share of different experiences, being there, being like in the corporate world and the non-profit world and very marginalized societies, etc. So we had our share of experiences. So like if it took 3-4 decades for Punjab to come where it has come, we probably need to give it at least 3 decades to transform into what we all want it to be, what it can be. So yeah, that's how I think we got onto
So,
this path. Yeah.
Manu, from what you have described, I mean, it's a very interesting point actually. It seems that once there is enough economic prosperity in some parts of the population in a community, then it can be taken up as representative of the entire community. That is the first part, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes,
True.
there are a lot of prosperous, affluent families in Punjab, but that doesn't reflect the reality of Punjab. That doesn't reflect all the people of Punjab.
That's true. And even if you look at it at an aggregate level,
Mm.
Saurabh, like, yes, it's true. Punjab at one point used to be ranked 2 in per capita, but that was like 30 years ago. Now, if you see, it has come down to what, 16th, 17th.
Yeah.
The average per capita here right now is even lower than the national average.
Yes.
Okay. So even at an aggregate level, the data is not very encouraging.
Correct.
So yeah,
So that is the first part. The other part which I understood was that because of this, there is a kind of a complacency which sets in, that there is an economic engine which is powering the community or the population,
yeah,
and it's okay if there are some people who are not part of it yet. Now they will also reach there, so we don't have to do anything. The engine already exists, people will become part of it. Am I correct in reading that?
yeah. As in, see, the complacency, definitely. This whole idea of people say that Punjab people have forgotten how to do kirt, right?
Hmm.
Which is so integral to we as a community. Uh, so how did that happen, right? So like some people say that a lot of mechanization came in during the Green Revolution, and hence everything became very machine driven, and then you had a lot of laborers coming from other parts of the country, and then so then you didn't really had to do much. You had people and you had machines doing it, and hence you had a lot of free time, which probably got into the complacency that you are talking about. uh, Apart from that, it's also about the aspirations, sort of at one level. See,
Hmm.
Punjab has has faced 47, has faced 84, uh, and even we all know what happened recently during farmer protests, everything. So, but every time it has kind of bounced back, right? We have seen that happening. Uh, Now what's been happening, and which is reflected in the exodus, the
Hmm.
mass exodus that we see, right? And I'm assuming you are sitting in Jalandhar, right? Every time I walk by the passport office in Jalandhar, like there's always like 100 people standing there, right? So where does this come from? So one is, it's a question of aspiration, right? An average young person who's growing up in Punjab today, what are the aspirations? Because what you do in your life comes from your aspirations. So I think those aspirations seem to have changed uh, quite a bit. And also you also, this exodus, this thinking that we need to go, also comes from some kind of hopelessness, right? Nothing can happen here now. This place is not for us anymore, and hence you see everybody moving out. So yeah, so all of this combined gets us into either I would be preparing for my, like, my, you keep hearing this, right? कि फाइल अप्लाई करी हुई है, right? जब पीआर आ जाएगा तब चले जाएंगे. So then it's like almost के I'm here temporary,
Hmm.
any given point I can go, right? So then if you think of it that way, then you don't invest in where you are right now because you think it's temporary. uh, so and then complacency is a manifestation of that.
That is very, very insightful. So residency in the state is temporary, and we have to move out, right?
Nothing
Okay.
can happen here. Yeah, I don't see
Yeah.
opportunities here. I don't see possibilities here.
So
And just to add to it, there was a very recent survey which was done across the country, um, for young people. And you know what it said? Okay, the youth of Punjab is the most dissatisfied in the entire country, right? So 78% of young people who uh, who were surveyed said that we are extremely dissatisfied with the kind of opportunities that we have here. So then, like, that survey is also reflective of this whole thing that you are seeing, in your surroundings.
And yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that actually number, because I feel dissatisfied as well. I mean, I've chosen to live in Punjab. It's been a very difficult decision, and considering the kind of background that I come from, did software engineering, was on track to go to the US or something, and then finally I decided no, I'm going to leave Delhi NCR because where most of the opportunities lie, but I'm going to settle down in a smaller city, which is not even the biggest city in Punjab, and it has not been easy at all. So I completely get that. So Manu, like, what is Sanjhi Sikhiya doing towards this?
Yeah, so there are two aspects of our work, Saurabh. One is because the thinking is, okay, we have to bring change in a very sustainable long-term manner, and hence primary education became a key focus. Okay, let's address the foundations first. If the children who are growing up, and there are almost 30 lakh children who right now study in the public education system,
In
and
Punjab?
is roughly 50% of all the children going to schools in Punjab, right?
Hmm.
So which means almost 60 lakh children in Punjab go to schools, out of which 30 lakh go to government schools. Now, out of these 30 lakh, almost 50% of this number, which is 15 lakh, they go to the government primary schools. Okay. Now, it's a huge number. Like, these are the children who are growing up in Punjab, and uh, if they don't if they don't get the key skills of reading, writing, like very basic stuff, then what kind of foundation we are giving them? So just from this lens, primary education became a very key focus. Secondly, now, like you said, we are seeing many kinds of issues in Punjab, right? It's not just unemployment and immigration and all of it. You also see issues on the health front, right? Cancer is becoming a big issue. You also see issues on the water front. There's a big, you know, like gender issues also. So there are many issues in Punjab right now. So we need many more people to be working on those issues, right? So now, how do you create a cadre of young people who are committed to solving any of the issues that Punjab is facing, and who believe that Punjab can be transformed into a land of hope, courage, and possibilities, right? So that is what gave birth to the Punjab Youth Leaders Program, right? Uh, which is the 2-year fellowship, which we started in 2019. So these are the two, kind of broad objectives, uh, and we have connected them in the way that all the change that is happening on the grassroots in the schools is brought by these young people, right? So it's like you solve two things by doing one thing, right? It's like that.
Mhm.
You make it, because making change happen out in the world is a very rich experience in itself. It's very difficult, of course, and that's why we call it a leadership program. Because, like, what is leadership at the end of the day? You believe in something, and then you gather people around it to make change happen, and then you are trying to influence people to shift, to change ways. And when you're doing this with people who are 20 years, 30 years older to you, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a sarpanch, whether it's, even a parent, it is deeply transforming, like, internally. Like, and once you can do that, then you can do pretty much, many other things as well. And hence, PYLP, strives to create these cadre of young people who bring this change. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And how many PYLP cohorts have been, have existed already, and how many are in the pipeline, I would say?
So we just launched the fifth cohort just 3 months ago.
Hmm.
So which means like three of our cohorts have graduated. The fourth and fifth are right now ongoing. The fourth one is in their second year, and the fifth one is in their first year. So yeah, and of course, what's coming? Yes, as in I think we are all set to have. We need many more such people. We probably increase the cohort size as we go along. So yeah.
And what is the total team size right now? Because the other day I saw a post about the Sanjhi Sikhiya team family, and it was a very healthy number.
Yeah. So we are 80 of us right now. 80 of us spread across 5 locations, like 4 districts where we work. And then there's a team in Mohali which works at the state level. Uh, so yeah, so we are 80 of us spread across these 5 locations. So, and see, it's a mix of, like, this includes the youth leaders that are there. This includes the program team that is there. And this also includes, like, at any given point, Sanjhi Sikhiya has 5 to 6 interns working with us. So including all of it, it makes it 80 of us. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
Mm.
Manu, let me move the conversation towards the other direction, or the other aspect that we wanted to talk about today: the challenges that you have faced in this journey, and the challenges that you face on a daily basis again, and the challenges that you foresee will come soon.
So it's a, uh, you know, see this, the inherent nature of what we do, sort of, is in itself is, it's challenging, right? Ekam sokha nahi hega. So that, but I'll come to the challenges, but one realization, right? I've had, whenever we talk of challenges, even internally, right? So whenever internally, like, anybody says, "Ke apa is can I speak in Punjabi? I don't know. You tell me."
Yeah, please go ahead. I mean, you can speak in. We deliberately keep it in English because we don't know where the students might join in from.
Okay. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll keep it in English then. So yeah, so I was saying that if internally, when we are talking, and if anybody comes and says, "Oh, I'm not able to work with this teacher," or "I'm not able to, this Sarpanch is not listening to me or not giving me time at all, nothing is moving in this school," right? So then, yes, it's a valid challenge, of course, but the, the way I started thinking is, like, that we exist because those challenges exist, right? So then I think it ultimately boils down to us, right? That how do we what do we do differently to influence this person we are not able to influence? How do we change our approach? Because this is a norm. Like, people not listening to you is it's a given, right? That's why we need such young catalysts to go and bring change. So anyway, so like, I feel a lot of work has to be done internally, so that we keep upping our game, so
Hmm.
that we can up our game and see better things happening on the ground.
Hmm.
So that being said, see, some of the things are very, you can see that it's because we work very closely with the government schools, the public education system. Certain things come along with it, right? For example, uh, the frequent transfers of, say, the bureaucratic leadership, right? So that, like, you know and when you have that, then like, there is little consistency, right, in what you are trying to do. And so that has been a challenge, like, in the districts where we have seen, say, a district education officer there for at least 2 years consistently. Like, great things are possible, just if there is stability at that level, right?
Hmm.
uh, then if you, like, come to, say, the the work that we do with teachers, right? So now, one of the common things that you keep hearing from teachers is, uh, yeah, that except teaching, we have 100 other things to do, right? We have these administrative things to do. We have this data that needs to be filled. We have to use this grant that needs to be used for infrastructure, etc., etc. Right? We have these election duty coming up, and basically, it's you will hear this very often, right? Whenever you visit a government school, like this challenge that teachers will tell you, and when you see, then you also feel helpless. Yeah, this, like, she's right. She has like just two people, and in some cases, if there's just one teacher, right? It's a single teacher school, like one teacher and 60 kids, right? Now, on those 60 kids of across age group, right, from like kindergarten to the fifth grade. Now, she has to manage them, and she has to do all these other things. So anyway, so I think this also you keep hearing. Um, and then of course the one of the focus areas of what we do, right, is how do you create community ownership at a panchayat level. Now, the challenge over there is that the making government school a priority for a, say, sarpanch or a panchayat is a task in itself, because in many cases there is no vested interest, right? Like, one is if their own kids don't go there, that is one. And secondly, if people are not even demanding, right, there is, because if the families from where the kids are coming, they are coming, say, from the lower caste section of our societies, or if they are the daily wage laborers, then like nobody really listens to them, so they don't have a voice, and hence education doesn't become a priority for the local government. So I think so these are all the issues in terms of what's out there. Internally, I would say, which I feel is bigger, and maybe we is in our hands rather. Many of these things, in some cases, are beyond us as well. Um, that if we have to influence, say, uh, a group of community members to do what they do better, then our own imagination of how learning should happen, what kind of classrooms we have to see, that needs to be very clear. Like, once we have that imagination, is when we will be able to convey that imagination, right? And because many young people who come and work as part of PYLP not necessarily have an education background, but at the same time, uh, because we are influencing those who influence the lives of kids, so it's important that what kind of imagination we give it to them, not just from a classroom level, even at home. Even though parents are illiterate, they can still do a lot, to support the education of their child. What can they do? So I think I would say our team's capability of being able to imagine the desired future is also something which is always a work in progress, right? That we keep working on it so that we can paint a picture for others. And plus, I think the other inherent thing in this work is that you face a lot of rejections. You you like there are high chances that you can get demotivated, right? So now, how do you keep that? How do you keep the momentum going? How do you keep yourself motivated? So one is at a personal level. What can I do or like just with myself so that I am motivated? But it's also at a team level. How do we support each other so that we keep going, and we don't stop. Um, yeah, so I think I've listed quite
Mm-hmm.
a quite a bit
No,
challenges.
excellent, excellent. I want to know, like, let me start with the external challenges that you mentioned.
Hmm.
So yeah, consistency is a challenge because the frequent transfers of bureaucrats, right? And since you've been at it for a few years now, you must have figured out a few ways or tips and techniques to actually keep consistency, separated in a way or in some form from these frequent transfers. I mean, what has your insight been, or go
Yeah.
to technique been?
So see, it's like this, right? Because the transfers are most common at a leadership level, right? But if you work with, say, the person just next to the leader, or just next to the leader, like one level down or two level down, right? If you work very closely with these people, uh, like then you can ensure some level of consistency. Like for example, if it's a district level, then while the district education officers transfer is very frequent, but the transfer of the block primary education officers is not so frequent, right? So if we engage at that level much more deeply, then you ensure that this is how we have been trying to circumvent this particular challenge. So and same at the state level as well, like while you have the leadership, the secretary and the DGSC, but at the same time you have the state resource persons, uh, right, who you work with closely, and so because they are like they're there for slightly longer term than leadership. So yeah, that's how we have been addressing it. Yeah.
And there are lesser frequent transfers at those levels as compared to the district level, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And even at a school level, right? If you work very closely with the transfers at a teacher level are not so frequent, right? It's unless in fact we have had instances that if there is a very strong relationship between the teacher and the community, teacher and the parents, even if the teacher is transferred, the entire village stands up saying this teacher will not go from here, right? So we have those examples also. So and it all boils down to the relationships, that it is so strong. uh, yeah, and like in our country, I think we don't realize the power of panchayats, but a panchayat, if empowered, uh, and if channelized and motivated to change things for the better, can be a phenomenal thing for our country.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And do these relationships that you have been talking about, do these relationships, like you definitely gave an amazing examples of, the community members, the citizens of that particular area coming up and, asking for the withdrawal of the transfer, order of a teacher. But about the bureaucrats themselves, have you seen that such relationships that you have built transform into accountability of their own actions as well?
Transform into accountability of their own actions, as in, see, it has happened a lot, I would say, at a district level, because we have had very, I would say, like our relationships with the district education officers in the districts we have been working at, I think have been very fulfilling both ways, right? Because like it's like they also wanted to achieve something, we're also trying to achieve something, and then if there is overlap, then it's almost like what we are doing for them is that giving a systems view, giving a very real picture of what's happening on the ground, and coming up with innovative and new ideas of bringing change, right? What they are doing for us is access to the entire system, then giving legitimacy, giving credibility of what we are doing. So yeah, and see, it's a when does accountability come, right? When you are working together on something together, right? And then you divide roles. What are we doing and what are you supposed to do? And then like that's how, and then you just keep holding each other accountable along the way. So what is important is to work together on something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like what do you hold each other accountable on? Like ठीक है जो कर रहे हो करते रहो, like आप जो कर रहे हो करते रहो. So that is what is happening in most of the places. Right? So if the moment you break those silos and you try to create some common projects, is when accountability automatically comes in.
So the shared ownership will only come with a shared objective. That's what I understand.
Yeah.
Right? And that shared objective, do you think like the officials who are working, the teachers who are working, do you think that a lot of them have the clarity of the objective, that what they're doing and how it is contributing to the bigger picture? Or do you think it gets lost in the day-to-day activities that they're involved in?
Oh, it definitely gets lost in day-to-day activities. So that is why some of the things need to be consistently reminded, right? What are we working towards? Those reminders are very important. And sometimes those, see, and those reminders can come from anywhere, right? They can come from a very driven, a very motivated teacher who doesn't need any recognition, who doesn't need any, like, she's just so like intrinsically driven. And whenever you are in a meeting where she's present, then you know that she's only going to talk about children, because that's so it can come from a teacher, or we have seen even very great like driven district education officers who are like the leader of the district on education front, and we have seen them whenever they are addressing, say, their entire staff or their entire teachers, like consistently reminding, or in some cases it has been like, we have played that role uh, when when we know that this conversation is, say, not going anywhere, and we are stuck in uh, small things. So then how do we just bring the kid back into the focus? So yeah.
Okay, all right. And how do you do this? And do you? I know that Sanjhi Sikhiya does awards and regular dialogues. Punjab Dialogues is a forum that you have created. So
Yeah.
is it? It's through events. It's through awards and recognition. What else do you do?
See, those events and awards are sort of like, I would say, just 5% of what we do, right? What happens on a day-to-day basis, on a regular basis, is holding these spaces for teachers and for the community members, right? Which is and which is a recurring thing, like getting teachers at a cluster level together every month. And what they are doing is essentially sharing their common challenges so that other teachers can share how they have addressed those challenges. They can learn from each other. They're planning together for next month. And you're trying to create a space where we are talking about learning, essentially. See, how do you have this mammoth system that is there to move towards a place where it can start delivering on what it is supposed to deliver, right?
Yes.
So that the main thing remains the main thing, right? And I think education system has to be in service of children. So how do we uh, ensure that these conversations, when teachers are together, are for that purpose? Similar thing has to happen at a community level. So we bring together the panchayat, the school management committee, which is essentially a body of parents, and teachers and any other local influencers. They're all coming together, and they are creating a vision together for the school. We ask them this question, like, where do we want to see the school in the next 3 years, right? And then before the meeting, we do a very thorough needs assessment. We show where we are right now, and where we are and where we have to go. So nobody from outside is going to come and help us get there. It is us, people sitting here, who have to work towards getting there, right? So then it's so those kind of, you can say, mutual accountability, working towards a shared goal. All of it happens in these gatherings.
Excellent. And yeah, so before I move to the next external challenge that you pointed out, I want to like just touch upon the fact that how have you utilized technology in doing all these things? I mean, I'm not talking about an online meeting like we are doing right now,
Yeah.
or WhatsApp groups. I'm talking about technology at a systemic level.
Yeah. So one of the things is, see, whenever you work with system, you inevitably work at some level of scale, right? And whenever you work at scale, you have a lot of data. And whenever you have a lot of data, you like that data will only be useful if you do something with that data.
Yeah.
So I think one of the ways we have, like, I won't say we do it very well, but the way we have been trying to is to ensure that this whole process, from data collection to data analysis, to data integration, to data visualization, to data visualization, to data visualization, to data visualization, to data integration, to data integration, to data visualization, 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 to data to insights from the data, so that it then feeds back into how we are running the program, so that this whole process can be through technology, right? And we have been trying different ways. Like I said, there is a lot of scope for us to work on this still, but this is one. Uh, then I think from an internal perspective, like because we are now a big team and everything, so how do we not how do like how is Sanjhi Sikhiya run basically, right? And now we are in multiple locations and everything. So many things which were okay before, like many processes which were manually done before, and we are slowly moving towards getting more, whether it's people-centric processes, uh, whether it is just automating certain very regular ongoing tasks, like project management and the HR processes, etc. So those are all internal. Uh, and I would also say that, like, how are we building capacity of the people we are working with, right? Basically on L&D front, like using technology for L&D is another, like we have been, using technology for that purpose. Like if you are, like, there is a common learning need of all the teachers. If there's a common learning need of all the sarpanches, right? So what kind of a curriculum, what kind of a content, and what kind of platform uh, to leverage, so that you can do the same thing in all the districts you're working in. So yeah, I think these have been some of the ways we have been, I would say, experimenting so far. But there is a lot of ground for us to cover on this front.
So when we talk about L&D, and we established that basically through creating these open spaces that you do, we have a collective knowledge repository now, right, which can be utilized by all the stakeholders to create impact at whatever level they have to create impact at. And technically speaking, the government already has built systems for tech-based systems, to teach teachers across the country. Like there is a SWAYAM system, there's an open library based out of IIT Kharagpur, and they keep CBSE and all these people, they keep on having these learning workshops and everything. Do you think the collective knowledge that you have been able to facilitate, do you think that collective knowledge is similar, different, or how is the relationship between that collective knowledge and what comes from the policy framework as far as technical teaching is concerned?
See, what is similar, Saurabh, is the why and the what, right? The what is, I would say, different, and what we are coming up with is the how, right? So, like everybody knows, like from if you just go by what's written, is that what are panchayats supposed to do for school? It's all written. What are the roles of a school management committee member? It's all written. What is a cluster head teacher supposed to do to enable learning for teachers? So I think all that is there. It's what our I would say contribution has been on how do you make it happen, right? So that it sustains, and so that it builds a culture of excellence. It builds a culture of talking about which keeps the main thing at the center, right? So our like approach is on the process of bringing change, right? And because otherwise, if you just read all the policy documents that we have, all the like they're fantastic, right?
They're excellent.
Very learned people have
Yes.
written them, and yeah, you just like, wow, what have they written, right?
Yeah.
But how do you ensure that there is enough meaning making happening at a level where it has to be implemented, so that everybody understands what are we supposed to do? Otherwise, they're all doing their own thing, whatever they know, right?
Right.
So
And so whenever a new, let's say, stakeholder comes into the picture, maybe a teacher, maybe a new member of the panchayat, maybe a new parent, right? And they have not seen how things have been evolving with the facilitation of Sanjhi Sikhiya. How do they plug in? Is it difficult for them? Easy for them? How does it happen?
Yeah, so see, it depends on whether we have done some work there already, or is it a new place? Like what you said, if there is already work happening, and if there's some new person who has come in, then it's not very difficult, because see, everybody has their own ways of doing their due diligence, uh, of of doing their reference check, of identifying ke, whether these people are actually doing something or just ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਨ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ, right?
Hmm,
So
hmm, hmm,
basically, so they do that, and it's a matter of trust, right? Once they see what's going on, and because all of these processes that I just mentioned, like we document it uh, properly, like it's all the, whether it's the minutes of what got discussed,
hmm,
uh, whether all the next steps and everything, it's all like uh, put down. uh, so if anyone is curious and is new and has come in and wants to know what happened, so they have the access to the previous knowledge.
hmm.
Yeah.
And so I understand, decentralization is important because contextualization sometimes gets missed, from high level, or a bird's eye view.
Mm.
But even then, even when the context can be different at various levels, there must have been certain standards that you are adhering to, right? That this is how it has to happen, and this is how it should happen, right? Have those standards been something that you have been inspired by from a particular source, or it has been from everywhere, experiences and learnings?
See, these like, again, what, in terms of standards, like, essentially what do we have to achieve, right?
Hmm,
So they are very clearly defined at the state level, sort of, right?
hmm,
In terms of, at every grade, what do we want the kids to achieve,
hmm,
right? What are the learning outcomes that we have to achieve? So it's all like laid out. Our whole uh, approach is and thing is about, you can say, policy implementation or achieving the standards that have been already laid out, right? So it's we are not bringing in any new standards, and that's not the intention also. The education department is very well equipped, is very, like I said, it's all, the policies are great in terms of what do we expect our kids to be. I would say the standards in turn, again, if we come back to the process, right? So now, to achieve those standards, which essentially means that if children have to learn, there are two, three environments, right? The classroom environment, the home environment, and general community environment. All these environments need to uh, be nurturing, need to enable, to help the child to achieve those standards. Right?
hmm,
Now, that is where we, bring in the frameworks that have been developed by, say, whether the CBSC, NCRT, or, like, I'll give you an example. So, like, when it comes to teachers, right? What does a great teacher look like? Is a question, right? Now, the CBSC has very effective framework laid out, which is essentially a teacher self-assessment rubric, right? And it's
hmm,
publicly available. Anybody can use. Any teacher who wants to do their own self-assessment, okay, where am I? What
hmm,
are the different parameters I need to judge myself? It's all there. And they have, like, what is a level 1 teacher and what is a level 5 teacher. So we, when it comes to us working with teachers, we use this framework, and it just helps teachers to reflect themselves. Oh, I do this very well, or I don't do this very well, and then the cumulative data that we collect from all these self assessments, it tells us what are the things that teachers feel that they need to do better. So there is a natural receptivity to learn those things. So then these teacher collectives, can be around those themes, uh, because then you also know that in this group of say 15 teachers, there are two teachers who do this particular uh, you know like aspect very well, and these are the few teachers who want to learn this particular aspect, and then how do you create that peer learning environment in that space? So yeah.
Excellent, excellent. I'm just wondering. I mean, I'm sure that you guys have already thought of this, but are you recording courses now, which you can be given to other teachers, and or you want to do it one district at a time? How are you thinking of doing that?
Yeah, as in, see, much of those courses I would say still are primarily for internal
Hmm.
consumption. Like whenever we have, say, new youth leaders coming in,
Yeah.
now how do we ensure that they know all that has happened in the past, right? So, as in, we are there right now, but I think what you said, we really want to get there because Sanjhi Sikhiya cannot have on-ground presence in all the 23 districts of Punjab, right?
Hmm.
This is like technology will have to be leveraged,
Hmm.
and yeah, and in fact, anyone listening to this wants to help out on this front, I think we are we welcome the help on this front. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So, well, here we have one startup idea for those who want to do something around this. How can we leverage the online learning environment? All right. And when I say the online learning environment, I'm not just talking about recording courses on Loom or recording videos and making presentations. I'm talking about including AI and so that it can give the learners latest data in real time and so on and so forth. I'm talking about all these things. So if somebody's listening to that, that is definitely needed because well, there are still a lot of areas that Swayam and National Digital Library cannot cover. And that's exactly what Sanjhi Sikhiya is also doing. Another thing that came out was the teachers, which I have been referring to for a long time as well, because I did a study in 2015 on the burnout rates of teachers in Delhi, and we took sample from north, east, west, and central Delhi. Shockingly, the burnout rate among school teachers in Delhi at that time was around 47-48%. That means half of the teachers were already at the edge of mental health breakdown, and that is Delhi. So you can imagine what can be happening in the rest of the country. But the picture is pretty much similar, in my opinion. You tell us, is it similar in Punjab?
Well, I would say it's because we did a similar study here in Punjab as well, and see, more than burnout, I would say it's lack of focus basically.
Hmm.
Uh, like you're coming and you have a few set of hours that
Hmm.
you have to do achieve certain things. How do you let go of certain distractions and focus on what really matters?
Hmm.
I think that's where the struggle is, because everything sometimes from the department or from the like every ask sometimes is very urgent.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Teachers often have very limited, you can say that this is my priority right now, I will do that later, right? But it's like they're doing something and they're into it, and then something came and then they have to do that. So I think I feel that's the challenge. If we just let them, even if say not 100% hours, even if say three-fourth of their time,
Hmm.
like no one will disturb you basically, right? you
Yeah.
do you do this very well. I think that itself will yield a lot.
So, do you think because the Punjab government has been quite aggressive as far as digitization is concerned? I mean, just like the other governments in the country as well. Um, and do you think the digitization has reached rural government school teachers yet?
So it has reached in the sense like they all like are aware now that what is available
Hmm.
for their use. Like if they are struggling on a particular thing, or they want to figure out about a certain topic, then there is an app of Punjab government itself where they can go. So there are a lot of tools available, I would say, for teachers. But teachers are aware of it. Uh, but whether those tools are utilized to their full potential, I think again comes back to the how question, right? Uh, so you have these things available, but how do you? It's a matter of a habit, right?
Mm.
Uh, like how do you develop this habit? Is a I think it's something which needs to be done more of.
Yeah.
But they have like there is no dearth of content. There is a
Mm.
lot of content that they have. It's
So
yeah,
when a new tool comes, and because it's a new tool, and we both being from engineering background, we understand, an engineer will think while developing something that I've created the perfect thing, but it hardly is. It's actually very far away from what the real user wants, right? That is why multiple iterations have to happen. Do you think once the tool is created and launched, there is enough awareness, there is enough ease of operation, there is enough training which is done in order to help teachers use the tools? Let me rephrase this question just for the benefit
yeah,
of others also. If you buy a new phone today, Apple, Android, whatever, you might use it for the basic things like calling people, messaging, recording videos, but do you know how to use it as a compass, a level? Do you know how to use it as a reminder, and how many features exist and so on? That is why you have so many YouTube videos available. So when you need, then you can refer to those videos. So Manu, do you think those ease of usage videos or training material is available?
yeah. So not as much as it should be, essentially, right? Yes, some training is done, some uh, like circular is released, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some rules are there, but uh, I would say a lot more of that can happen, right? So that not just to ensure that they know how to use it, but also to gather feedback and to change it if something needs to be done. So yeah, I would say a lot more of that needs to happen. Yeah.
Excellent. So do you think the hundreds of things that the teachers do you think some of them can be digitized so that they have more time for teaching?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like there is no doubt about it. Even we have seen instances that one particular data, right,
Hmm.
is submitted
Hmm.
at five different places. Can you imagine? Like the
The
same thing,
same.
the same data I'm writing on a register, then the same data I'm putting on an Excel. The same data somebody else asked me 2 weeks from now, so I'm filling it again. Uh, so of course, like technology can be very useful on something like this.
But what I understand is, and we're running short of time, so I'll just gonna touch upon this last point, and then we can conclude. What I understand is there's a habit of creating deliberate redundancies when data registration happens. Like anything that you record formally in a government ecosystem, there is a deliberate redundancy system in place, so that if one system fails, the other system is available. Um, and and that primarily comes from the behavior patterns of the leaders.
Yeah, so see that's the thing, like if you think systemically, if you think long term,
Mm.
then you like then you design things so that these kind of issues are not there. These are very basic issues which like take away a lot of energy from the system, from the main thing.
Yes.
So technology can be very useful, and it's more of uh, people having the time to think about how do I design this system,
Yeah.
or even look at how is this system designed today, and if I have to change something. So yeah, I feel uh, like this issue of bandwidth crunch
Mm.
is there across the level. Like everybody is running, everybody is busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like how do we create those spaces where people can step back and think, and reflect in what we are doing, what are we really doing, and ask this question.
Yeah,
So maybe things will change. And these spaces that we hold are essentially, like that is our small attempt to have those spaces of
mm,
uh, stepping back and really seeing that why am I always blaming this teacher?
yeah,
Why am I always scolding this particular a young person? Like,
yeah.
what can I do differently so that it
Excellent.
helps everybody?
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, this point actually was raised a little bit in our previous episode with Ramesh Balasundaram of Bal Utsav. And since you're in Bangalore, you should definitely try and catch up.
Mm.
So I personally feel that everyone kind of has access to a decent camera on their smartphone nowadays, and we have technology which is related to image recognition, pattern recognition. If instead of manually putting into data everything, if you can just take a picture of something and then let the software do its thing, take out important bits. I mean, this is even available right now in your smartphones actually. You take a picture, it converts it into text, it will take out important points. QR code payments through UPI happen through that, right? So if we just use that for data collection and registration, of course, I'm not saying it's going to be a perfect system. It is going to take a couple of years to make it perfect, because you'll have to change multiple systems around it. But this is a doable IT infrastructural idea that you can pursue and help the entire ecosystem, not just education.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. Manu, thank you so much for taking out time and being here. Any I know we have had so much more to discuss. I hope we get to do this again sometime and discuss more around it. Any concluding remarks that you would like to share?
No, no, this was very, thanks for doing this, Saurabh. I think these questions about, like some of these important things so this conversation was very reflective for me as well, because while I'm saying, everybody is busy, I think the same applies to me as well. I'm busy. So yeah, occasional such conversations which help you just zoom out and look at a few things. So it was very helpful. So thank you for this. And like no remarks as such. Like I just hope that many more people get engaged, get involved in uh, making sure that children learning in Punjab right now, get a better future. They deserve it. So anybody who is even thinking, how can I do something? Yes,
Mm.
they should reach out, and I think there's a lot that anybody can do right now. So there's no dearth of things to be done.
Excellent, excellent. And you mentioned such conversations. Well, Manu is going to be there on Such Conversations Matter next year in the next season as well. And that is the other podcast where we're going to go deeper into some other aspects of this. And thank you so much, Manu, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And hope you have a great day, great weekend, and see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.